is here today. So I will begin. I'm Greg Smith, Councilman of the 12th District and Chairman of the Jobs, Business Growth, Tax Reform Committee. This is a special meeting for Tuesday, March 24th. Any item discussed today will go forward with the Council with the recommendation of the Chair, since there's nobody else here today. So with that, items number 2 and 3 are consent, and we'll move forward with the recommendation of the Chair, and we'll call item number 1.
Item number 1 is a motion by Council Members Garcetti and Gruel relative to runaway film and television production, status of the LA Empowerment Zone, business tax waiver incentive in connection with runaway film and television production and related matters. And at its meeting held on February 18, 2009, the Public Works Committee approved the motion as amended.
Okay, Mr. Wickham, good morning.
Good morning. You were also at the Public Works hearing. I don't know how much background information you'd like me to go into, or if you'd like to just dive into the recommendations. And
yeah, let's go into the recommendations. Were there any questions? I don't remember the committee meeting if there was any questions that were left hanging unanswered yet.
I don't believe there were any questions hanging.
Let's go right into the recommendations.
Okay. So the first recommendation is for the Council to instruct the CAO, CLA, and Office of Finance to develop criteria for providing a tax credit or tax incentive program to film productions that locate in Los Angeles. The state had just, at that point in their budget, adopted a tax incentive program. There are some limitations in there, but the idea is to try and find some way to piggyback on that. Maybe we can provide a little additional incentive, either through breaks on the fees or the taxes that the city charges, and find some way to capitalize that without being a hit on the general fund, because we are in a tight budget situation. And we're going to have to get creative to get to that point.
You know, I had a discussion actually with one of the unions on the IATSE, I think it was, or one of them recently on this very point, and I thought it occurred to me that maybe we could create a baseline, a historical baseline that says in the last 3 years, much like we do the moving average on pensions, the last 3 years filming has been at this rate. If it ever dips below, then we need to do something extra to encourage it back, and just trying to keep it and maintain it at a good solid number, whatever that number we'd want it to be, whether it's 5% above average or 2% below, whatever.
Yeah.
Pick a number that really is logical, and if you ever see a dip like we're seeing currently with the big production movies, then we say, okay, we got a problem there. We don't have a problem filming commercials. That's remaining steady. We're having a problem with feature films. So maybe we need to do something with feature films, or really target it a little better.
Yeah, that's terrific, actually. And that helps us to be responsive, as you're saying, to the areas where there are trouble. If there are, they're not filming, movies of the week, then, maybe there's a way to provide incentives to encourage that kind of product, or and discourage the reality shows, or something along those lines that would help provide some incentives for products that are not being produced.
Okay.
So, okay. The second recommendation was to instruct Finance, CAO, and CLA to evaluate the effectiveness of the Entertainment and Multimedia Tax Incentive Program. There are incentives in two communities, Hollywood and North Hollywood. There's for businesses that have tax liabilities of up to $25,000, and after that, then the business pays only 10% of their remaining liability. It appears that there are very few businesses that are actually using that tax incentive, and we need to dig into the data, evaluate what's really going on, which businesses are not taking advantage of that, why are they not taking advantage of that, are there geographic issues that are limiting access to this incentive, is it something that we can adjust in some way that would bring these, the post-production work, keep it here in Los Angeles, bring the productions, keep them here, make the whole package effective for the whole scope of the industry. The third instruction relates to the power nodes, the utility nodes, and Department of Water and Power, having them develop a demonstration program in downtown Los Angeles to see how it would work and see if it would work, and if so, then to roll that out into other parts of the community. You had the idea of the fuel cells as an alternative. One of the things that has come up since the last meeting was there's a concern about technical specifications, making sure that there's a steady stream of electricity, that there are no flickering lights or anything. So the film industry and Film LA have offered to set up a meeting with experts to develop those technical specifications. At that point, we would be able to take that information, and we'll include DWP in that meeting, so that they can look at the grid and see where it makes sense to put the nodes with that in mind, and then we can also use that with regard to the fuel cell conversation to make sure that the fuel cells can offer that kind of steady stream of electricity as well.
Very good.
So we'll follow through on that. The Film Industry Parking Task Force, this is specifically related to downtown Los Angeles, districts 1, 9, and 14. The film industry has identified two or three key issues that are really affecting their ability to remain in Los Angeles, and one of the major factors is parking in downtown Los Angeles. The rates have gone up very, very high. They just can't afford to do the parking in downtown. So this is an opportunity to look for government-owned lots or come up with arrangements to help put a cap on the cost, or find no cost, low cost parking facilities that they would be able to use. Maybe come up with the base camp operation, shuttle buses that would take them from one place to another efficiently, effectively. We can find, low emission buses to help with all of that, so that it reduces those kinds of impacts. And this is one of those task force which will come together, meet, find the solution, and disband. This is not intended to be something that's going to hang around forever. The idea is to really find a solution, make it work, and then the next task force that we're talking about, having city departments meet on a regular basis, then they would be able to do any follow-up necessary and just track that into the future.
Is there, and we were just discussing this morning, Mr. Tripp and I, about, is there a need after you've accomplished these first goals, a run through of correcting things that we can correct and make it easier, of having a task force even at that point? Wouldn't it be just better to have a single focused task force, go through all these things, solve it, and then should there be a need in later years, you can always come back and say, okay, let's all get together one more time. But I think after you've done it, there'd be a task force that would never meet anyway, probably.
Exactly. So that's why this one on downtown parking was a one-time deal. Focus on those folks in that community and the film industry, solve that problem, and have them go away. Whereas the broader task force with all of the city departments, there's always an ongoing stream of issues related to filming, and the departments are constantly, it's one of these things where this is an industry that is really entwined with city activities across the board. We really don't have any other industry in Los Angeles that's like this in its involvement with the city, other than the building industry, and we have entire departments that deal with them. Yeah. And so this task force for the city departments is an opportunity to have the city put that major focus on them, maintain that focus over time, and as issues develop, be able to bring those forward, give the industry a forum to bring those issues, their own issues forward, and have it addressed. Let's see. And then, so that was, the parking was Forum 5, 6 was the task force we just discussed, and 7 was having the CAO work with Film LA to create a moderated online listing of public and private facilities that may be available for filming. It occurred to me that in this economic situation, we have storefronts that are empty. Maybe the person who owns that storefront would put up a notice on this website that this is available for filming, and then you combine at Film LA that data along with the available parking information and other resources, and Film LA really does become a one-stop shop where the film industry can access all the information needed. We're helping businesses bring the facilities to bring them business, and so this is just one more way to help facilitate the film industry and their activities.
And then what about LAWA and the port being proprietary departments? We can't direct them to cut their fees or anything, can we?
Yeah, there are some controls in there that are not available. I think we would have to go to their commissions, and the council would
Note them.
probably,
Yeah.
request
Yeah.
those commissions to evaluate their fees and adjust them in a way that would be, that would facilitate filming as well.
So that, I think that'd be important. I'm just looking at a report here that was done by LAWA, where filming created $280 million in wages and employed 4,800 people just at LAWA alone after 9/11 came back. So after the film was cut, they stopped filming down there for a while, but after they brought it back, with an additional $590 million economic value to the city. So that's a tremendous resource there, and I'm sure the Port of LA is as well for filming opportunities. So we ought to do what we can, include them in this task force for one. And
Absolutely.
I presume DWP was in there too. Yeah, they were already. So let's include them in as another resource.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, we have a couple, is that all for now, for the moment?
Yes, yes.
We have two speakers, both inside baseball, Steve Siegel from 13 and Jessica McLean from CD 14.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. My name is Sam Siegel. I work for Councilmember Garcetti, the author of the motion, and I was sent here today to read a letter that you already heard in Public Works Committee, so I'll make it brief and just say thank you for agendizing this. I think the report was very well done. It analyzes the full breadth of filming issues and shows how network TV has changed over time, and gives us a snapshot of what's really going on. And then, also, you had mentioned the lack of feature filming production, and I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. Those are the big productions. Those are the ones that are easiest moved to other cities and to other countries even, but it really does filter all the way down. If you look, Film LA's latest statistics, the last quarter of 2008, we saw the lowest commercial production in the city of Los Angeles since the work stoppage in 2000. So it really does cut across many different categories. So thank you to Doug and to John Wickham for preparing the report, for agendizing this quickly, and we hope that we can get those recommendations back on available parking and getting those nodes in as soon as possible to help the filming.
So everything, you've looked at the report, everything looks on target?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, they are concrete solutions that really address some of those issues above and beyond tax credits, which was the big call at the state level.
Right.
But parking, those electricity nodes, those are high costs of business for the filming community, things that I think we can do with minimal impact to the city's budget, that'll really help keep that, keep that economy going. And one other thing to stress, this motion came as a result of Ugly Betty, when Ugly Betty left, and it was really the crew that came to us. It's the grips, it's the film editors, and then all the industries that they support. During the strike, we saw, it's not the studio, it's not the big movie producers, it's not the Tom Cruises of the world that suffer as a result of this stuff leaving Los Angeles. It's the florists, it's the caterers, it's really those, the several hundred jobs that every show, every movie supports that surround the filming production that really, is the driver of a lot of different areas of the economy, as John mentioned. So.
Okay. And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Okay, Jessica? Just one thought I wanted to make.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Huizar is very supportive of the recommendations in here. We just wanted to put a couple of things on the record and let everybody know of some of the things that he's doing through his Broadway initiative that we feel could create some really good synergy here. We're embarking upon a streetscape design for Broadway from Second to Olympic. We've already been keeping in mind what the film industry needs as far as nodes, and we've talked to Film LA about some of their needs, so we really want to work and incorporate those into the streetscape design. Right. Part of that is installing DWP vaults in order to power the things that the film industry needs. Broadway, especially the historic core, has very unique needs. Our buildings go lot line to lot line. There's nowhere to put these large power sources that we need in order to help the film industry, so we're going to have to put them in the ground. So as we're embarking upon the streetscape design and sidewalk reconstruction and all of those things, we want to work not only with the film industry, but also with, the people that do filming and event production and all of those things. We're also planning, as you may know, to build a parking garage on Broadway, a municipal facility. Council has authorized negotiation on parcels for that purpose. We intended to make the parking garage a film-friendly parking garage, and by that I mean not only providing the electricity, but also making sure you can stage a semi-truck in there. That's a very high floor panel for the parking garage. So we're very excited. We think there's some very good synergy between bringing back Broadway and what this committee is recommending, and the Public Works Committee is recommending. And we just really appreciate that you put it on the agenda, and that downtown is being considered as the source of filming that it is, because it's very important to all of the districts downtown.
Very good.
Thank you.
Watch, water, and power. We had a situation when the Galen Center opened at USC a couple of years ago. The first big show, they brought in a big stage production to celebrate the opening. There wasn't enough power, and the lights kept going out. So keep on them. Make sure they do it right. Okay. All right, Mr. Wickham.
Thank you.
One other thought. Would you check into the tax code rates that we use, that we apply for the collateral industries, such as the post-production companies, things like that? One thing we could take a look at is make sure they're in the lowest possible rate so they stay here. I know for many years, we really still controlled a good portion of the film industry because post-production couldn't move. They couldn't pick up and go to another site. It's here in LA.
Yeah.
There are states that are now offering free sites along with their production stages they're building for post-production. And so they're trying to lure that industry away. I think if we were to ever lose post-production industries along with some of those other collateral industries, once you lose that, you've lost the game. So we should take a look at the tax code rate that we use for those type of industries and make sure we make them as low as possible so that they stay here as well.
Yeah. One of the other things that we're learning with runaway production is that the more time the production spend in New Mexico or New York or Michigan, they're building the skilled workforce in those communities, and the post-production becomes part of that skilled workforce. Yeah. So everything that we can do to keep those jobs here in Los Angeles prevents that from building. Okay.
Do we have an idea exactly how much the tax cut the state's talking about is?
We do, and there was something in the report, if I can find it real quick. They did limit it, though. It does not help the really big productions. It only helps film productions that are up to $75 million in cost. Let me see.
So that's not big feature films.
Not big feature films. It's only the mid-sized ones. So it was a 20% tax credit for the qualified productions. There are some productions that have a 25% qualification. But it's a tax credit. I
guess the governor wants to travel when he does his next feature film, huh?
Yeah, and it's a first come, first serve too. So each year there's $100 million. I think it's a total of $500 million. So
they'll suck it up fast.
They'll suck it up very fast.
All right. So the recommendation is then to create this task force. When do you think you would be able to report back, get the task force going and report back?
I believe that the recommendations from Public Works on all of these was within 60 days. So we'll give it 60 days to pull them together.
You've got a budget coming up. You're going to be a little busy for the month of May.
Especially the CAO, because we have asked the CAO to be the chair. One of the ideas that came up on that task force, by the way, was to have revolving chairs. I think it was an opportunity to ensure that the various departments are really invested in this program and take some of the pressure off the CAO as the lead. They've really stepped in over the last 15 years on film issues to take the policy lead on this. And this is something that's really a shared city responsibility. So I think that.
Would it be better to make the first chair than maybe the Office of Finance or something, rather than see it? Because you guys are all going to be tied up for a month here. So
exactly. Why don't I talk to the CAO and?
All right. Why don't we make it 90 days?
Okay.
I'm feeling generous today. And you guys discuss how you want to set up that chairmanship relationship right now, or a co-chair, and let them get things going for you, whatever.
Okay.
Because I know you're going to be busy.
Great.
All right. Great. Thank you. That'll be the recommendation. Then you have.
Yeah. Just for the record, Mr. Chair, we are concurring with the Public Works Committee recommendation plus the additional recommendation.
The additional notes, yeah, that I made. All right. That being said, that'll be the recommendation of the chair. Thank you very much, Ms. Wickham. I appreciate that work. With that, is there anyone wishing to speak to the committee? Committee of one on any item not on today's agenda, step forward or hold your peace. The meeting is adjourned.